When I met my wife, I never knew who my wife was. Like, when I mean I didn't know who my wife was, I did not know that my wife could do such a thing, or she's capable of scamming me. So my job needed me to always be on the road. Like, I traveled a lot. I didn't know what was going on. I trusted my wife, and everything she needed, I sent to her. But what I did not know was that my wife was dating somebody living on our streets. And each time I was not around, the guy comes into the house to stay with my wife. And that went on. And I didn't have any reason to not trust my wife. So one day, my wife took in and they went to do the test to be sure if truly she was pregnant, because she was having nausea, she was vomiting, craving and all of that. So they checked her, she was pregnant. And what I did not know was that the baby she was carrying, or the baby she was carrying, were not my babies. And I tried my very best to ensure that I was a good husband. I did everything for her, but she did not still give me that respect to stay with me. I know, yes, women love to have their men in their lives, but she knew the kind of job I was doing before she agreed to marry me. So my wife did everything, and one day I got a letter from an unknown source. It was an anonymous letter, and the letter read that the children you have are not yours. Try to check the children you have, go run tests. And when I came back, I forgot to even talk about it, and my wife welcomed me. We're all cool. And then I remember that after our first child was 3 years old, my wife was pregnant again. This time I decided to ask my wife, how come the last time we met, or when the couple say they met, the last time we met was this date, how come you are pregnant now? What's going on? And the pregnancy is even older than when we met. So my wife tried to explain that it happens that sometimes you won't even know you are pregnant, and I took it for the word it was. I ignored that anonymous letter I received, because I felt that these people were trying to spoil my marriage. My wife had a very sweet tongue, so she spoke to me that everything was fine, I should not worry, and that was it. I never worried, I never bothered again. I took her word for it. And when my office decided to transfer me to another place, at this time, I told my wife that it would be good for us to live as a couple, live with the family. My wife declined and said she was okay where she was, that it's okay, that the place is not that far, that he can always come back to visit during the weekends, which I also, because I wanted my marriage to work, I tried my very best to ensure that everything was fine, but my wife had her own plan. So one day, I got back home, and I did not tell my wife I was coming back. And I didn't meet my wife at home. And when I called her, she said she went down the road to buy something. What I did not know was that she was in the guy's house. She had spent the night there. And then I had to ask the girl that stays with her, the nanny. The nanny said that the last time she saw her madam was a night ago, and she did not spend the night at home. So when I called my wife explained to me that she had a delay somewhere, and she decided to sleep over at her friend's place. So I asked my wife, is it okay if you could send me your friend's number to call her? He said that the friend, he cannot reach the friend now. It will look somehow, it will look like he's trying to put their marriage out there. And I allowed my wife. Everything was fine. I left her. So what I did not know was that this guy who has been impregnating my wife was having plans of taking my life. I did not know. So I played along. Everything was okay. I didn't even have any evidence to hold on to my wife to say she actually did these things. I am beginning to suspect. So one day I went into our store, the kitchen store, and began to search for things. When I was looking out for things, I saw a document. In that place, it was sealed. The document was sealed from a courier service. And when I opened it, I saw my wife's passport. I saw my 3 children passport, because at this time she had a set of twins and now had another baby. So the second pregnancy was now a single birth, while the other one were twins. So I saw a passport of my wife, our 3 children, and another person that I've never seen in my life acting as husband. And I saw the letter of intent for her to process all of this, and the guy was a signatory to that letter. So what I did was I picked the document and kept it somewhere else. And I noticed that each time my wife entered the store, she was very restless looking for something. So in order not to, and this period I had taken like a 2 weeks leave to come back and spend time, and this time my wife was never happy. Normally if a woman sees that her husband is not always around and eventually comes back, she should be happy, but my wife was not happy. She was always moody. I had asked her severally, what's going on? Why are you moody? Why are you sad? She would say nothing. So when I saw that my wife was restless looking for something, I asked her, are you looking for anything? She said no, that she wasn't looking for anything. So I allowed her to sleep off, and I checked her phone. I saw that because normally her fingerprint will be the one to open the phone, I ensured that she opened the phone while she was asleep. And the conversation I saw between her and the guy stated that he has come again. I don't even know why he's coming, meaning they were all referring to me. So one thing I did that was very, very good was I didn't let her know that I knew everything that was happening. The guy had planned the day they will eliminate me, the things they would do to me to ensure that they eliminated me, and I'll leave the way for them to now leave the country. They had gotten a visa to relocate to Canada, but in the course of all of this, they needed to do some blood tests. They needed to check for other things, and they now booked a day they will be attending this, to just do it. Normally they do it before they get the visa, but I don't know the reason why they wanted to actually do this particular test. So they mentioned through their text, I saw the hospital. On reaching there, what I forgot to check was the date of that test. I saw that the date of the test, they had already done the test. So because the guy had sent her the address of the hospital, so I didn't check the date. I thought it was something that they would do on a later date. So I tried my best to see how I could hold on to something to rope her, and I didn't get. So I now started mounting surveillance on that our street. One day I told her I was traveling, and I didn't really travel. I went to lodge in a hotel that was very close to where we lived, and I saw that she came in with a guy. Like, I monitored everything. She came in with a guy, and immediately the guy came in, I walked in and sat down. The whole atmosphere was like somebody who was going to die the next minute. She couldn't talk. They both could not communicate. And then I asked the man, I said, "You're welcome. This is my name." I introduced myself to the man, and then instead of my wife to introduce the man to me, she couldn't. Rather, she was very restless. So I began to tell them everything they were planning to do. I told them everything. I exposed everything. I told them from day one. I knew everything that was happening. So I took the matter to my family, and I told them. I called our family. I told them, and then they said, okay, in order for them to do everything and follow this, judge the case amicably, I should conduct a DNA test, which I opted to do. But DNA was costing about 450,000 per person. So we went ahead, our family supported us, we did the DNA test and discovered that the 3 kids belonged to that guy, not me. None of those children were mine. And then this whole thing, we started looking out for lawyers who were going to handle this case. So my lawyer advised me that if I still wanted the marriage, I should keep the children as my children. I should not let them know that they are not my children while the legal battle goes on for now. That until the woman leaves, I should not tell the children what's going on. I should not let them know. But when we filed for it, my parents had told me to leave the marriage. And that was how, in marriage, I've spent so much, all my years. I left the marriage with divorce. I and my wife got a divorce. And immediately I and my wife got a divorce, I heard a story that she was infected with a dangerous disease that could not be explained, and they tried everything to cure her. That did not work. And then the guy had left with the children. She left her with the children in the same city and found his way. Nobody knew where the guy was. The guy became incommunicado. People were just telling me this, and as God will have it, I met a very beautiful lady who had never been married, and I told her my story, and she was ready to stay with me. And for the fact that she had never been married and had children. And when she did her investigation, she saw that everything I told her was true, and that was how we got married, and we were blessed with 4 children. It is always right to listen to your instinct.